Hey everyone, Keith McGinnis here with KCDC Designs out of Eagle, Nebraska. Wow. You want to see how I created this? I'm calling that a ranchero marble. Stay tuned. But let's start with how I create that rock edge. The rock edge went all the way around the island and then on the front edge of the countertop, but stay tuned and here we go. So I start off with, built the countertop with 3/4 MDF. If you can tell that bottom lip, that drop edge, I'm actually sticking that drop edge out about 1/4 of an inch. And that's what's giving that look where it's actually deeper than 1.5 inches. And then I'm using a cuts all shaping disc, and that's what I'm using. And you can tell I'm not being real strategic with how I'm grinding it. I'm just trying to give it some shape. Then I'm going to put some Bondo in there to try to just give it a little bit of character. Again, not being real strategic with it. I'm just trying to get some Bondo on there. Not too thick. You don't want it on too heavy, and you want to make sure you press it into the pores. And then once that dries, then I'm going to go over it real lightly with a sander, and that's what this next segment is coming up right here. Okay, so now that the Bondo has dried on the rock edges, I'm going to grab some 150 grit. Excuse me. Using 150 grit. Using 150 grit, I turn the speed down on my orbital sander to, I've got it on between 2 and 1, just because all I'm trying to do at this point is just knock off the sharp high points. The rest of that character I want to leave there. The same with what you see on top here in those raised areas. I don't want to sand that down. I'm going to leave that there. It gives a really, really cool effect. So where I'm referring to that Bondo on that top edge, that's what it looks like. So putting that Bondo on that top edge and just lightly sanding like I am the rest of it, as you see here. I'm just knocking down the high points, the sharp points, using 150 grit, and I'm going to go all the way around just really to soften it up for the most part. Now I've got everything in my studio, I've got everything sanded, I've got everything prepped, and now I'm putting on the first coat of the Stone Coat Black Undercoat paint. I could use other types of latex paint, but I really like the Stone Coat Undercoat paint. I like the fact that it has less ammonia in it, and you only have to wait 4 hours to dry before you're ready to put epoxy on it. In this case, I waited overnight. You can see there on my seam where that's where I've got the Bondo. The little patches you see there are just some pinholes that I wanted to fill up. So I look real closely at that when I finish a Bondo seam and blow it off really good with the air gun. If I see any pinholes in there, I want to get those pinholes filled either with Bondo or I'll use a glazing putty, which is by Bondo product. It's really thin and does a great job of filling little pinholes. But that's it. I'm getting both pieces prepped, and as soon as I get the second coat, I'll sand after about an hour, put on the second coat, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to sand it with 220. Now, as you can see, again, I've got a fairly aggressive rock edge that goes all the way around this countertop. So I'm not getting real close with the edge. The edges I'm going to go over with a red Scotch-Brite pad to scuff those up so I can have those prepped and get those ready. Now I'm taking my spray cans and I'm using 3 or 4 different colors to fog my edges. To me, it's really important to do that. So for wherever the epoxy is or maybe thin as it rolls over the edge, I have plenty of color on my rock edges. So you can see what looks like quite a bit of that champagne bronze, but then I'm going to go over it with, there's actually 3 or 4 colors, and you'll see at the end of the video when I do a flyover, you can see where and how important it is to fog the edges and how much in some areas that shows through and gives a really, really cool effect. So you'll notice that not only do I fog the edges, but I also get some spray paint on the surface as well. And for the same reason, wherever the epoxy is thin, I want to make sure I've got color below that. All right, let's get some epoxy mixed up. So each one of these countertops is going to take just under 1 gallon of epoxy. And I'm using 3 basic colors and then 2 other accent colors. But my 3 basic colors are deep silver metallic and black metallic, which are both Polycolor or Stone Coat countertop colors. Then bronze, which is a just resin color. And then I also mixed up some white pearl and some rust metallic, which is a Stone Coat color, also Stone Coat or Polycolor. Now what I'm doing down here is I'm putting down a wash coat. Now I'm not doing just a clear wash coat. In my wash coat, I mixed in bronze glitter and also copper glitter. And the reason I did that, and the reason I like to do that, is for one, there's going to be areas where the epoxy is going to be a little bit thin on top purposely, and those glitters are going to show through. Just adds a little bit of bling. But more importantly, those glitters are going to flow over that rock edge. And when I put down the color coat, I'm okay if that color coat doesn't completely coat the edges of my rock edge, of all the crooks and crannies and crevices. And wherever that color coat does not hit that, those glitters are going to show through, which again adds a really, really cool effect. So I've got my wash coat down, and now I'm pouring down my colors. That first one is the deep metallic. That color I'm putting down is the bronze by Just Resin. And you can see I'm not putting that out in exact striated lines. I really like to be random with how I pour that out. I just think it gives a lot better look and a more authentic look by the time everything is all said and done. Like I said, I mixed up a gallon, and I'm going to do both countertops at the same time, but I wanted to get the colors poured out on the first countertop, and now what I'm doing is getting the wash coat put down on the big countertop. And I did the same thing. And at the end, when I do a flyover, you're going to be able to see where some of those glitters actually poke through the color coat, and really adds a cool effect. Matter of fact, the customers even pointed it out after I had installed it and when they looked it over. So I've got the wash coat down on there. Now I'm going to get my colors poured out on that one. And then I'm going to manipulate kind of both countertops at the same time and get the colors melded in. So you see I did this one a little bit differently. I put down the black metallic first, then I put down the bronze metallic, and then I'm going to put down, what's the other one? Oh, the deep silver will be the next one that I put down on this big piece. Again, just trying to be a little bit random. It's going to make sure that those pieces don't look exactly alike. They looked very close, obviously, but see once again how I have the colors really not poured out, kind of in that candy cane or that tiger stripe fashion. And at the end of the video, when I do a flyover, you'll see how much of a difference that makes. So now I'm taking my hand and I'm just melding those colors in. I really don't want to mix the colors together. But yet on the same hand, if I have some areas where there's maybe a lot of bronze or a lot of black, I'll take some of that color and put one into the other, just so they don't look, I guess, real solid. And again, just kind of doing what I can to keep that somewhat authentic look, if you will. Now, with this technique, after you meld those colors in, you really have to give it about, a good 20 minutes or so to really see how it's going to soften up. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding in that rust metallic. I didn't have a whole lot. So what I had to make stretch over the two countertops, but it made for a really cool accent. So I'm going to put some of that rust metallic in there, and then I'm also going to put some of that white pearl from Just Resin, which is a really, really pretty color. But what it's going to do is it's going to add some contrast to the other colors I have in there. And so I like to meld the first colors down, then add, like I did here, add the white pearl, and then add the rust. It prevents it from kind of all blending together and having too many colors. And again, at the end of the video, you're going to see, number one, you're going to see how much everything has softened up over time. And then you'll see how much difference it makes by adding that pearl in later and then adding that rust in later also. So here again, I'm on the other countertop doing the same thing I did on the big one. I'm just, again, softly melding those colors in with my hand, not mixing all the colors together. And to be honest with you, when you meld it like that and then kind of stand back, I'm not going to say it looks like a hot mess, but it really doesn't have the character that you're going to see within the next 20 to 30 minutes when it starts to soften out, because it really does soften out and meld together and look just amazing. So once again, I did the same thing with that one where I added the rust in and then I added the white pearl in. And you can see that I might take some of that white pearl on my hand and move it into some of the areas that just have some black or that just have some bronze. Again, just to kind of keep everything random. So That's it really for getting the colors melded in. It's a fairly simple technique. To me, what makes the big difference is how you pour the colors out, and then also as you meld the colors in with your hand. So after torching it out, I waited about, probably 10 to 15 minutes, and then it was time to add in some cool accents. So, we're going to start off getting some red in here. As many of you have probably seen on my videos, whenever I have a rock edge, I like to get that teal to flow over that rock edge. You know, I always struggle a little bit on exactly where I'm going to put my accent, so I kind of look at the piece, I stare at it for a little bit, and then I just kind of decide where to put the first one, and then after that, you know, I guess they go where they go. But that RustOleum Seaside looks so cool with those rustic colors. And then after I put down the accents, now I'm just using my heat gun just to open and close those veins up a little bit. And again, that makes them, to me, makes them look less man-made and a little more authentic. If you take the air from your heat gun from the top, you can open up those accent veins, and then going back and forth from side to side is where you can close those up and move those around a little bit. So the heat gun, that's what Mike always used to refer to as painting with air. But it's just amazing what you can do with the heat gun with the veins. You might pour the veins out and think, boy, I don't need to do anything with those. But then you put a heat gun to it and you see them move around, and then you realize how much difference there is and how much difference you can make by using the heat gun on there. So on both of these pieces, I'm doing the same thing. Boy, if you can tell on that lower left, you can see how much that heat gun opened up that vein and got that to move around. And again, on the flyover towards the end of the video, you're going to be able to see a lot more of what that heat gun did with those accents. Use whatever color you want, use however much you want, and put them wherever you want. It's really up to you. But those little accents, those do make a big difference, and I think it really does kind of take it to the next level. I mentioned earlier how when I run accent veins and accent colors, when I have a rock edge, even if I don't have a rock edge, I like to have those accent colors flow down over that rock edge a little bit. I think it really adds a cool effect. So I'll speed the rest of this up as I get the rest of the accent veins in here. And then let's do a flyover and just kind of see what the whole piece looks like. This is before I applied the ultimate top coat, and I have another segment where I do apply the ultimate top coat. If you can see those accent veins, how much I was able to move those around. But look how much those colors really softened up. This is after I have applied the flood coat and prior to applying the ultimate top coat. But I'm just going to shut up now and let you watch. It really turned out cool. Hey, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And once again, this is Keith McGinnis with KCDC Designs. Please don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for upcoming tutorials. I'll try to keep posting them at least once a week. Thanks, everybody, and take care.